LeBron James triple. Got it!
We're a great team, and you tip your hats. I mean, they made the plays down the stretch to win this series.
Dancing, trying to tie, a bit off and a foul. Need 2 to tie it here. Another tie.
Those are shots that you dream of as a little kid. You practice in the backyard. Like I said in game 2, man, we don't get to that shot without everybody pitching in.
Zero's on the clock. The Nuggets advance.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to NBA Today. I mean, what a game last night. I felt so bad for my neighbors. I definitely kept them up reacting to the final seconds of this one. The Lakers, they were just 2 points away from taking this series back to L.A. Adrian Wojnarowski still with us, along with Brian Windhorst, Austin Rivers. Denver looking at a second-round matchup with Minnesota, and that series starts Saturday. I cannot wait. But the Lakers, they are facing an offseason with some major questions. Here's LeBron James after last night's game.
Start looking at the schedule. Obviously, I got my son, one of my boys is just trying to decide if he's going to, enter the draft or go back to school. I got another kid that's playing AU ball right now. My daughter is playing volleyball, and my wife is doing so many great things. So it's about family right now. And then in a couple months, I got to go to Vegas for training camp. So, I got to rest my body for USAB. But that's kind of the initial thoughts. Haven't given it much thought. Obviously, at some point, I'll sit down with Rich, my agent, and sit down with my family and, see what's best, what's best for my career. So, we'll cross that when we need to.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
Okay, so LeBron referenced a busy offseason. Here are some of the key dates that he's talking about. Of course, the draft will be June 26th and 27th, so LeBron will know his son Bronny's fate a couple of days before. He has to decide on his opt-out a day before free agency begins. Woj, how does Bronny's future factor in, if at all, for LeBron?
Malika, in my conversations with Rich Paul, who obviously represents LeBron James, but will also represent Bronny James, is that the idea of them playing together is not a priority. It's not foremost, at least any longer in LeBron James's mind. That Rich Paul's goal here in the pre-draft process for Bronny James is to see if there is the right developmental system, organization, a place that can take a young player like Bronny James, who went 5 months without playing, after his heart episode, certainly limited him in his season at USC. And so if he does go in the draft, he's very likely would spend next year in the G League. And I think so for LeBron James and Bronny James, what Rich Paul said was if organically somehow they ended up together, that would be great. But you look at the Lakers draft assets, number 17, that's a really important pick for the Lakers, probably to use in a big trade. You're not going to use it on Bronny James at 17. And then they have number 55. He could very well be gone by then. There are teams, I think certainly once you get into the second round, we'll see how he does in the pre-draft process. They may not be able to draft him. It's not free agency. Somebody else can take Bronny James. And I think those are the conversations Rich Paul is going to have with teams to try to figure out what might be the right spot, who might have interest at what spot in the draft. So I think that's the priority for them as a family. What's best for Bronny James? And if it ends up them together, well, that would be great. But I don't get a sense it's playing much, if any, role in LeBron James' decision on next season. And I think, listen, we all know in all likelihood he's back with the Lakers. It will just depend on what is the structure of a deal, 2 years, 3 years, perhaps, after he opts out.
Right. And that's not the only thing, him saying that he wasn't sure about necessarily or wouldn't answer the question about his future in Los Angeles that stood out to me from last night. When he was asked if he thought that this roster was good enough to run it back with, he said point blank, no. And we know that oftentimes, guys get in the rooms together over the summer. They get in the same room. They have these conversations. And Director Kathy, if we could throw those key dates back up there real quick. Yeah, the Paris Olympics in July, Brian. LeBron is going to be alongside most of the top stars in the league for a significant amount of time. How much could that shape the direction, those conversations of this offseason?
Yeah, most of the offseason work will have already taken place by July 6th when they get together, certainly by the time they start. And those players who have free agent decisions or contract decisions will probably want to get those done before then. But USA Basketball has been the foundation of many future connections. And I know people are saying today, boy, is it all over for LeBron, Steph, and KD now that they're all out? Are they never going to win a title anymore? And I'm like, they could win a title this summer together. So you never know what happens in USA Basketball. It's going to be a great experience. It's also going to be challenging. Let's see what happens there. I'm not sure it's going to affect anything that would happen instantly, but you never know down the line how USA Basketball connections, lead to other things. I
think another conversation, of course, that is happening today as LeBron James' teammates await his decision this summer is also the decisions that surround head coach Darvin Ham. So take a listen to both Anthony Davis and Darvin.
He's been in this position numerous times in his career where he had to make a decision, ultimately for himself and his family. And I'll be right there supporting whatever he decides to do. And obviously, it's been, a great 5 seasons with him. If he decides to come back, obviously our goal is to come back and be a championship contender. But he has a, decision to make, and when that time comes, he'll, inform me, inform you guys.
It's tough. I my mind's all over the place right now, so that's a great question. But maybe at some point later on, I'll give you an answer. It's been a hell of a 2 years, though, I tell you that. Sitting in this seat, it's been a hell of a 2 years. But again, I'm going to control what I can control, continue to grow, and hopefully be a better coach for it.
Darvin Ham's future with the Lakers, to say the least, is very uncertain. And the Lakers have had every opportunity to publicly say that Darvin Ham is their coach or to privately assure him that he will be back. Neither of those has happened. The Lakers are going to take at least a couple days here to talk within their organization, but certainly Darvin Ham, despite the fact 90-74 in 2 years, a Western Conference Finals, an in-season tournament, which is new to anybody's resume, and a team that is poised this summer to really improve. They have a chance to go out and use as many as 2 or 3 first-round picks to swing a big deal and to give Darvin Ham or any coach the roster that they haven't had the last couple of years. But clearly this is a coach whose future is very uncertain. And again, the Lakers have had every opportunity to assure people about a coach who has multiple years left on his deal. It speaks volumes that they have not done that.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the deal. Coaching a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, it's championship or bust. I mean, we're talking about within his first 2 years, they have a play-in championship, and he went to the conference finals last year with a team that no one thought was going to do that. And we're sitting here talking about, his job in question. The reality is when you have a roster put in place like the Lakers have, and you have guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis on your team, people want results. And they're certainly not going to point the finger at LeBron James. You can't point it at Anthony Davis this year due to the numbers he's put up and the games played. So that next guy in line usually falls on to the coach. And we're sitting here now having to question, Darvin Ham, unfortunately, even though he has actually shown potential. And having that job, there's probably no other job harder in professional basketball.
Of course, but it also became, I think, acute in some people's minds, at least watching sort of the various timeout situations. There was a lot of discourse about that. I know you had thoughts on that, Austin.
Yeah, well, last night, Denver went on a crucial run to end that third quarter. It just seemed like they were starting to get control of the game. Prior to that, it seemed like LA had it, and there were no timeouts called. But again, we look with the magnifying glass. When we talk about Darvin Ham, the whole world wants to pick apart every little thing he does because that's what happens when you coach. I don't like to call it America's team, but they're the most popular team in NBA sports, in NBA basketball. That's what we talk about every single day here. It is what it is. Yeah. And, I feel for him.
The timeout situation last night, I know it's a big thing. Darvin had to call a timeout 1 minute into the third quarter because Anthony Davis got hurt. Then he had to call 2 timeouts with less than a minute in the fourth quarter because he was challenging a play, which probably saved the Lakers 2 points. It was unfortunate, but the fact, Malika, that they had some games where he ended with 2 timeouts and didn't use, that he sometimes uses challenges and sometimes didn't, and most importantly, 5 times they were ahead at the half and 4 times they lost, it hurts his case, although other things were also in play to why the Lakers are done.
wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,